podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
Welcome to All About Android, episode 75, recorded on Tuesday, September 4th, 2012, is your weekly source for all the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Eileen Rivera.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
Yes.
Fully liquored up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Episode 75!
If you watched the pre-show, you know
calm.
that these two did tequila shots and I'm sipping.
Yes.
So we'll see how far I get by the end of the show. Because you don't want me to not have this empty.
Well, you can do whatever you want with it. I just think it would be funny to get to the end of the show and have that still be there.
Well, no, I think it's funnier to watch her slowly get drunker from the tequila
from a single shot
as
of tequila.
The show continues. So I think that we should encourage this. So
my God. Again, new meaning for AAA.
I think this will actually work out in our favor.
I think so, yeah.
Because by the time we get to the arena,
it's going to get
violent. Be very
interesting. Your app.
Your app totally doesn't work because, oh, Lord. So there's a lot going on. It's just the three of us today.
Yep.
And there's a lot going on or has gone on since our last show. And we knew that. We knew that there was going to be a bunch of
hardware stuff.
And it's our 75th episode. Let's not forget. I mean, we're joking about the dream, but the 75, that's kind of a milestone.
It's
so
good.
Good job. Yeah.
It's a good number.
Yeah.
And then there's another lawsuit.
Woo!
I'm so sick of it. Shoot me.
Another day, another dollar.
That's what. That's what Jason wrote in our notes.
Shoot me for being the guy that always talks about patents.
Shoot me about. I know, and it's my fault. I put that in there too, and you were like, "Oh God." Yeah.
Have the AAA drinking game where you have to do a shot every time we talk about patents.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Like,
you wouldn't make it through the first 20 minutes if that was the case.
Every time you mention iOS.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
There you go, chat room. Make up
Entered
our
in the
game.
Yeah, come up with a little bingo board or something like that, and we'll all play together.
We're on late enough for most people.
I think it's after 5.
This is
totally
happy
is.
hour.
Noon somewhere.
Total happy hour for us, at least, and it's evening time for.
And it's late night in Europe. So.
Episode 75, where we took an unfortunate turn.
Yeah.
Nobody
it's
saw
all
coming.
downhill from there.
All right, well, should we dive in?
Oh dear, let's go to our news.
I feel like you have to drink every time we change the segments. So now we're news, so a little bit of tequila.
Okay. Apple added 4 new devices to a lawsuit that they filed last February against, you guessed it, Samsung. This is regarding patents on data detection, which, if you remember, Apple successfully enforced that patent against HTC. Also, patents on slide to unlock, word completion, universal search. The Galaxy S3, Verizon's S3, the Galaxy Note, and the Note 10.1 are all now included in the lawsuit. And they join the likes of many phones you've heard of, the S2, the Galaxy Nexus, Galaxy Tab 7 Plus, and 8.9 tablets, among others. God, I just don't know what else to say about these things. I realize we kind of need to mention them as they come up, and Samsung and Apple is kind of a big deal because of everything that's happened over the past month.
Well, and it's a big deal because we talked about how ice cream sandwich and jelly bean is different, and we'll move on from this. And some of those phones before, okay, whatever. But now the phones that we were saying that were potentially or
current.
Yeah, that are very current. These are the ones that are selling. These are the ones that I would advise you to buy. These are the ones in a new lawsuit. So are you trying to grab this here?
I'm trying to grab this.
Yeah, so we also have the Samsung 10.1 Note in that lawsuit as
Which
well.
we'll be putting up on eBay later on because now you can't get it.
Yeah.
Not before I review it for before you buy, by the way.
Right.
So I'm going to spend a week with that
and
thing.
everything. It's kind of cheapy feeling, quite honestly. But
that's what a lot of the reviewers are saying.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel sturdy. I feel like it's fragile and fine. I'm glad it can do multitasking, but it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it kind of looks cheap,
hardware.
too.
Use it while you can.
Yeah. And sell it while you can as well.
Well, in some of these, I mean, granted, we're not looking at the specific wording, and when you're talking about patents, that level of details really kind of tells you whether you're infringing or not, obviously. But some of these things, slide to unlock, word completion, although slide to unlock less so, because in Android, now with Ice Cream Sandwich and everything, it's not a determined path. It's put this image on this image, instead of a single path. But word completion, universal search, these things are less potentially just in Samsung phones in the way that it was for the majority on the last case that they just completed, and more maybe on the OS level.
And it was universal search that was taken out of the S3
and then put back in.
And then put back in.
Yeah, right.
So
who knows what was going on there?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
could
totally.
be some relation here, but
so meanwhile, Samsung is also threatening that. Well, what we know of the new iPhone that will be announced
next Wednesday.
Thank you.
12th.
I couldn't remember. What we think we know, anyways.
The invites
it's officially
went out.
Oh yeah. I saw they went out. I didn't read it yet.
And then there's like a 5 in the shadow. So it's
right. Yeah. So it's the next iPhone, and everybody is just kind of saying that LTE is going to be a part of that. So that's kind of big in the rumor mill as far as that phone is concerned. Samsung says that it's very possible that Apple is going to infringe on a few of their 819 patents that they carry on LTE. That's 12.7% of all LTE patents. Though Apple, is no spring chicken. They didn't have any LTE patents a year ago, and now they have added 434 to their own kind of arsenal. So it isn't guaranteed that Samsung's going to have something on Apple. It totally remains to be seen once the device is out. But, they're kind of it totally is a war. It totally, patent wars is a perfect way to name these types of things, because it's really, them building up each side of their arsenal and showing what they got and who's got the bigger battle.
And it's also not the modern definition of war, which is a skirmish that, like if you notice in more recent times, wars have been quick and, kind of, type thing. Whereas this is like a World War I, like 4 years. Like this is playing out ages of and we're seeing technology rotate and new things get released. And so then they need to do these things where the ruling comes down, but the technology is told they need to catch up and apply it to the most recent things because it's taking so dang long. So.
Well, and that's an interesting part of this too, because, we're talking about the world of technology, obviously. That's what we do here. But technology moves so incredibly fast, and the law and the legal system moves so incredibly slow. So you end up seeing kind of what we saw last week, where all of these devices are affected, but how many of them are actually making any sort of anything in the in the marketplace anymore? So even the last one that we were just talking about with Apple, including more devices to their lawsuit with Samsung, who knows if that's even going to matter in the grand scheme of things, based on when that lawsuit is going to find its completion and what else Samsung has to follow it up with.
But continuing in the patent war, sometimes you have surprising things happen, and sometimes people try to be level-headed and avoid these wars, which possibly could be happening. Rumored last week from Reuters, and All Things D was talking about it, the fact that apparently Larry Page, CEO of Google, and Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, have been having secret meetings. And secret rendezvous. They're meeting at the In-N-Out in Mountain View, and they're talking about that'd be cool if they
each got a double-double.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. But so apparently a lot of the talks have been focused around intellectual property and the impending idea of patent infringement and patent threats to either company. Of course, we don't know. This is all rumors. We don't know what's actually happening. They could just be in the same, kickball league. Who knows? But if they are indeed talking about that stuff, maybe Google and Apple are finding a way to work together. Possibly, has Eric Schmidt played some sort of role as an intermediary, as his long involvement with Google and Apple? Who knows? But if Google and Apple can strike some sort of deal, we can avoid the Steve Jobs' request of thermonuclear war on Android. Could be a good thing. We could avoid the courts. Yeah, which is nice. Which is, if it's true, it would be nice to see that kind of that approach being taken, a diplomatic approach.
Absolutely,
rather than a warfare. So legal warfare.
Part of me is like, oh, this is great. Yeah, I really hope they come up with something. Another part of me is just kind of like, well, yeah. So of course they're doing that. Like. Yeah. Why wouldn't they talk to each other? It doesn't mean that they're going to come to any sort of an agreement. You know what I mean? They happen to lead these big, these huge corporations. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's true intent that either side is really going to
Well, it's under this leadership too. So under a different leadership, it could be completely
true. That is a really
there are
good
people
point.
that are a little bit more competitive, and I'm glad that this is possibly happening instead of it being
and hopefully these new regimes or different regimes take different approaches. But also, it could be nothing. I mean, like a lot of times we like the broad spectrum of either companies are completely in bed together, they're partners, they work together all the time, or they're in the courtrooms. And there's really a broad spectrum of interaction. I know there's tons of professional organizations and tons of scenarios where Google, Microsoft, and Apple are all in the same room talking. I mean, it happens in every industry, in the video game industry, in the technology industry, in the all of them. The players often do need to come together and say, what do we need to do in order to help our industry? And this could just be another case of that. So it might not be anything to get too excited about, or it could be the diplomatic approach, which we all know how that worked out in Star Wars. So.
Okay.
What is Star Wars?
There's a thinly veiled prequel reference for you in case you were playing at home. So,
Ron likes to mention Star Wars, so that's another drinking
That's
point.
the center of the bingo card. Yeah, because that
Star
comes up
Wars,
every episode.
That might happen. Moving on from patents drink. ComScore, and here's another Android, iPhone ComScore. That should be drink too, because every quarter we have this. Has come out with some numbers, and Android and Samsung are still high on the list. The July 2012 analysis of the U.S. and this is the U.S. phone market. Results are in Samsung has kept the lead 25.6% of the U.S. market, although that's a 0.3 percentage drop from April. In the same period, LG dropped from 19.8. Boy, that was pretty high. Okay, I understand. A lot of you have LG phones.
Yeah, we'll
get
there
it.
in a second.
Dropped from 19.8% to 18.4, but that's still high. 19.8 LG, 25.6 Samsung, and Apple held down the third place spot at 14.4%. So,
man,
LG's pretty high up there for a phone I never see. Again, we'll answer that in a minute. Also, another report that has shown that and this goes back to our first story of probably why this is happening with Samsung versus Apple. Samsung Galaxy S3 is finally besting the iPhone 4S for the first time since the 4S launch, which is a huge deal. It's the first time that one smartphone sold in the United States has been the number one smartphone. Apple iPhone 4S has been the number one smartphone sold in the U.S. since October 2011, and finally that reign has kind of come to an end. So it kind of makes sense with all of these sales.
It definitely makes sense on a certain level that iPhone purchasers would not purchase this close to an event. Absolutely. I don't know if that's the entire amount of the numbers, because the S3 has been incredibly successful.
But then again, I always wonder how many people are that in the know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know that the majority of the people I know, or even the people who don't work in tech, but people who are tech savvy,
or potential new smartphone purchasers that are just like, gosh, my friends all have iPhones. I'm going to get one right now. And they just don't know that there's an event.
Right, exactly. And then they hear about the news and they slap their forehead and, I should have waited. But, I don't know. I always question these broad generalities we make with
because it's kind of impossible to really know.
It really is. I mean, it's like Nielsen ratings, so it's kind of why I get really frustrated with any of these numbers. But ComScore is a big survey house, so that's why we report it here.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's fair to report the numbers. And I guess I always end up being a little bit of a skeptic, I think, as you try the analysis, because it's like, how much do we really know? But anyway. Well, in terms of actual numbers and knowing things for sure, I love it when we say something and you all write in and chime in and set us straight, so to speak. So if you watched last week's episode 74.
This was one email, Ron.
I know, but still.
One email.
It's evidence. It's proof. If you watched last week's episode, the topic of LG brand phones came up, where we discussed who buys an LG phone. Apparently
it's the second highest with 19 point whatever I said earlier.
So Eileen was wondering how many people buy LG phones. Mark in Edmonton, Canada, Edmonton, Ontario, Ottawa, one of the O's in Canada, wrote in and says, I just finished watching episode 74. You covered a story about the LG Optimus G coming out, and Eileen said she's never seen an LG Android device in the wild.
Except at CES. or any trade show.
All right, it's fair. It's fair. Well, Mark writes in and says, well, I will have you know that I have an LG Android phone, and it's actually my third LG Android phone and fifth LG smartphone. I previously had the LG Optimus 7, a Windows phone, and an LG Optimus Quantum, a Windows phone. Then I had the LG Chic, the LG Eclipse 4G, and now have the LG L5. Those sound like some sexy name phones. Can I tell you? I would like the Chic.
The L5.
Granted, it's not the best phone on the market specs-wise, but it only cost me $199 off contract on Bell in Canada. Not bad for an ICS device with NFC.
That is true, actually.
That is true. I've always had very good luck with LG phones. I find them to be built well and have always served me well. I was very excited to hear the Optimus G is coming out. Could be my next phone when my contract expires in January. This guy's an LG lifer. I love it.
And there's the photo.
There's the photo, so you can see it in the wild.
It is on the Android in the wild.tumblr.com.
I think there's a deeper story here that we're not talking about, that who still uses Logitech mice? I mean,
that is the important.
Mark in Edmonton does.
And I know, show that image for a second. I know up at the top right-hand corner, I know which coffee mug that is. Right. And nobody gets that coffee mug anymore. That thing is leaky. Nobody uses that thing.
So thank you, Mark, for writing in and setting us straight and reminding us that there are some LG fanboys out there. Maybe, Mark can start the LG phone podcast, and I think that's worth a sip.
Well, I mean, I actually...
Oh, fine. Sip too.
I think so. Of course, it looks like water. So no one's going to believe it.
By the way, the irony of that whole bit that we just did is that I have a Logitech mouse and keyboard at home. So yeah,
you two are brothers.
Me and Mark, we're going to start this week in Logitech.
No, this week in LG and Logitech.
Yeah.
This week in L.
Yeah.
You can.
I actually really do like Logitech's devices. So.
I actually liked the LG Lucid when I reviewed it. I think I mentioned that last week. So it's not like I've used LG devices and hated them horribly. It was a very total mid-range phone.
I've never heard of the LG Eclipse 4G. The Eclipse is spelled differently. ECLYPSE. Is that a Canadian name or Eclipse?
An LG.
Sounds like a car. Anyway, so thank you, Mark. Always good to hear from you. Please keep writing in.
You know what? It's time for me to drink because it's time for hardware.
Again. I think you're enjoying this more than you're letting on, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Was it the pinky in the air?
Yeah, part of me thinks that you got that was a smaller time in between sips, and you volunteered it. Yeah, so there you go.
Well,
truth be told, it
Samsung
does taste like
last
bubblegum.
Week. We talked a little bit about that Samsung was going to come out with the Note 2, and it is official with a 5.5-inch screen. Android Jelly Bean.
That's right.
That was the bet that I didn't make with you.
I am totally going to pay you nothing because we didn't bet on it, but we made a big deal of it, so there.
Bummed. As soon as my page loads, I'll tell you a little bit more about it.
I guess it would have been a lot more fun had we bet.
Yeah,
it would have.
But
The all right, so
some video
there's some video. There is again the S Pen stylus. It's a 1.6 gigahertz quad core Exynos processor. The display is also similar to the Note, 1280 by 720, but versus 1280 by 800 on the older model. But it's still Super AMOLED, yay. What else can I tell you? There's going to be, you've got a S Pen here.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's got an 8-megapixel camera, NFC, and there's going to be 2 colors to start, Mountain White and Titanium Gray. Mountain White is very similar to the S3 that I've been kind of hoarding at work. There's 3 storage options, 16 gigs, 32, and 64. And 2 gigs of RAM will also come standard on the Galaxy Note. This is a fast phone, and it will also have 3100 mega amp battery. So that should help.
That's a good size.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's the same battery, I think, or close. I can't remember if the max is 3300 or if it's 30. It is 33.
I believe it is. Yes.
Yeah. So great looking phone for those of you who love the Note, and it is 3300 for the max. Okay, so it's up there. But you could probably, I think, I'm not quite sure. You probably remove this battery, unlike the Max. So, I'm not quite sure
I don't know
officially,
about that one.
but looks great. So for those of you who are in the Note cult, there it is.
Note cult.
The Samsung Galaxy Note 2, and there's some new app with Evernote, EndNote, and Moleskine. No, I'm sorry, Moleskine. Moleskine. Did I say it wrong?
I don't know. I was called
Anyways,
Moleskine.
Everybody has a different pronunciation for that one.
Moleskine.
They have something that they're working with the new Note as well, a special app for that because of the pen and the drawing. Also released, and this was kind of a surprise, the Samsung Galaxy Camera, 16 megapixels, 21 optical zoom, and Android 4.1.
Your camera is on Jelly Bean. And how many phones are not?
This is pretty cool.
Kind of crazy.
That's kind of weird. Yeah, it's wacky when you think about it.
There's a 4.8-inch HD LCD display. 21 times optical zoom, 1.4 gigahertz quad-core processor. There's Wi-Fi, 3G, and 4G wireless options on this thing. When I first read about this, I thought, this is kind of cool. This is better. I mean, I kind of want
What is that
one.
thing? Is that the flash or is that the shutter button? Okay, I was
Yeah,
is that the
that's
shutter button?
flash.
If that was a shutter
If you're
button,
watching the
that'd be
video,
awesome.
we're showing you the flash, and we're showing you some options with the camera itself. And of course, you can download apps and just directly send it to
That's cool.
Instagram or Twitter. Some of your favorite photo sharing sites.
I mean, there's no. Honestly, I'm not surprised by this at all. There's no reason.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
I'm not either. I think Samsung had some Wi-Fi cameras already at CES in January that I'm remembering right now. But this is different. This one has Android and Jelly Bean on it. This is or it's updated. I mean, this is great. I'm kind of tempted.
Yeah.
Kind of want to have a nice point and shoot camera. I mean, not that I don't like my my phone camera, but that's all I carry.
Camera.
It is kind of big, but I don't know. Look at that. It's got all the Android settings on the back of the, when you look through the display. It's just like a little tablet. It's just like a little thing. It's not a little tablet. Yeah, it's like a little, when you hold it that way, it's got all the navigation and everything. It's really cool. And it's 1280 by 720 resolution on there. I mean, look at that. I'm fairly impressed.
That is impressive.
I like it.
I like it a lot. Also, with Dropbox will be integrated with the Samsung Galaxy Camera and Galaxy Note 2. 50 gigs of free space for 2 years. 2 years.
Good amount of space right there.
So check that out. The Samsung Galaxy Camera.
Cool.
I like it.
Yeah. So, continuing the parade of announcements.
Yeah. This is, by the way, this hardware block is pretty much events.
Yeah. It's announcement
events
time.
Past and events future.
Hey, if you haven't started planning for the holiday shopping,
this is
now the seasonal kickoff to the holiday shopping season.
This is where your ideas come from.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Note isn't going to be available till October, from what I understand. And I was just looking for the Galaxy Camera availability as well. But you can move on with Sony, and I'll update that in a minute.
So Sony had their announcement, and some of the key things were some big changes to the Xperia line. Starting off, the rumors of the new Sony Xperia Tablet S were true, and we got our first glimpse of the new Tablet S. It's running. It's on a Tegra 3 chip. It's running Android 4.0 and up. It's got 64 gig of built-in storage. They've kept the little fold-over magazine shape. Like the folded back kind of wedge kind of thing, but it's slimmed way down, and it measures between 0.35 inches and 0.47 inches thick, and it's dropped down to 1.26 pounds from 1.31. So, I mean, it's interesting. I have a Tablet S, or I had one. I got one previously. I gave it to somebody. But it's a nice little tablet. And the slimmed down version, I think, will be good. It's going to be running Ice Cream Sandwich. They're promising an upgrade to Jelly Bean soon, which I believe they'll follow up on. If you have a Sony TV, there's a great they've integrated it with their remotes and all their electronics and things like that. It's a nice little tablet. So good to see it gets a decent upgrade, although they should get Jelly Bean on there quickly. They're trying to customize all their own apps. That's what the delay is. But in addition to the tablet, they also announced some changes to the Xperia phone line. They unveiled the Xperia T, V, and J smartphones. So if you're keeping track at home, there's the various letters you need to know. The T is now the new flagship model. It's got a 13 megapixel camera. It's got a 4.6 inch HD reality display with Sony's mobile Bravia engine. It's got a dual core 1.5 gigahertz processor that can play back 1080p video. It's running Android 4.04 Ice Cream Sandwich from the get-go, but Sony promises an update to Jelly Bean. And the Xperia T is PlayStation certified, and they've got it in black, silver, and white. And they'll be available worldwide in the upcoming weeks. Moving down the line, the Xperia V adds some LTE connectivity. So if you're looking for some LTE, this is the one you got there. And the highest level of water resistance available in a smartphone.
Okay, then.
So those of you that constantly drop your smartphone in the toilet as you lean over to flush, you've got some added resistance here. So there you go. It's got a slightly smaller display, 4.3 inches. It's running a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processor. They've got Sony's new One Touch. Both phones have Sony's new One Touch NFC technology. So you can pair the phone with accessories such as headphones and external speakers by just tapping the phone against the accessory, which is pretty cool. Pairing is always the thing that annoys me with Bluetooth and things like that. So anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
agree.
Yeah, and the Xperia V is also PlayStation certified, and it's got black, pink, and white, and it's going to be on the shelves in Q4. And finally, for those budget-conscious folks out there, the Xperia J is the cost-conscious phone. It's 9.2 millimeters thick. It's a little smaller with a 4-inch display. It's got a 5-megapixel camera. It's got a front-facing camera for video chatting, and this one's going to be offered in black, gold, and white, and pink, and it's available in Q4. So and I don't have specs here on how much more. I don't want to say cheaper the phone itself is, but it's not as cutting edge. Let's say that in terms of the processor and things like that. But
and they all ship with ice cream sandwich, though, right?
They all ship with ice cream sandwich, yeah. And they're promising upgrades to Jelly Bean soon.
I don't like the promise. Well, I like the Samsung shipping with Jelly Bean.
The problem here, as they pointed out, is that Sony is one of those providers who have a lot of Sony custom software, so they need to catch up. And it sounds like they're not quite there yet. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just before we move on, not necessarily related to that announcement, but just kind of cool to see that Sony has actually released the code to the Android open source project for Xperia S as well.
Cool.
So that is totally underway. Sony's, in a lot of people's minds, Sony's doing a lot of things right now, and that's not something that I would have expected I'd be saying about Sony phones on the Android platform, because my experience with the Tablet P was not that great, but people swear by Sony. There are Sony.
There's a lot of brand loyalty there.
Yeah. Absolutely, and probably very similar to what we're seeing with LG as well.
Yeah.
Another company that has some great brand loyalty, whether you love them or not, is Motorola, and they have an event planned for September 18th. They have a London event. The invite calls out, quote, "Let us take you to the edge." So a few bits here surrounding the event. Point to A, Motorola's first Intel phone, and that's confirmed by a Google Motorola unit to be its first powered by an Intel chip. And B, the Edge that you hear about in the invite might, and this is totally in rumor land right now, but it was kind of blown up over the weekend, might have something to do with edge-to-edge screen technology. In other words, eliminating a discernible bezel.
Wow.
What would you think about that? Because when I think about it, when you look at a phone and you see a little bit of bezel, you're like, oh, well, I noticed the bezel, but don't you kind of want a little bezel there? Not to mention, don't you want a bezel up there because that's where A, the ear hole is, and B, the camera is? Like, you need some bezel, right?
Yeah.
Not saying that this eliminates it entirely, but maybe side to side and not top to bottom.
Is it really sharp? Is it
they're,
rounded?
They're trying to compete, and they're coming out with something a little bit different.
That would be a total differentiator,
and it probably will look sexy. I don't know if it will be sexy to use if you're constantly bumping the top, or
if it's scratchy. I don't know. It'll be like those
constantly opening apps when you put your phone to your head.
It'll be like those coffee tables I'm always afraid to put my feet on.
Fragile.
Right? Yeah, the glass one, the edge-to-edge ones. So the ones that have no bezel around the table themselves.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess that depends
TVs,
on what you
right,
define
with,
as bezel.
Plasmas.
Yeah, TVs. Yeah, there are TVs.
The TVs, the bezels are disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, that depends on what you classify as bezel. Because, like, Chad, if you take my camera for a second, and I don't even know if the light's going to hit it right.
That's a bezel.
Do you consider? I'm trying to get the right. There we go. Do you consider the little black lines? What's that? Oh. Thanks
like,
for
just
saying
turn
that,
on
Chad.
the phone.
Chad wins.
He's like, just turn on the phone. I'm like, okay, yeah, that would have
Now
made
I
too
see
much
the bezel.
sense.
Oh, there it is, Jason. Thanks.
And that's why Chad is there, everyone.
Yeah, you are brilliant. But next time, don't say anything.
I had my mic muted so that you wouldn't hear me.
Next time, don't diss the host. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
Actually, do diss.
Okay, so is the black line that you see on the edge, is that the bezel? Or is the frame of the phone the bezel?
The frame of the phone is
the
the bezel.
frame of the phone.
You think the frame of the phone is the bezel?
Absolutely.
I'm against. I think the black edge.
I think the black
edge
edge is the
too.
bezel. Yes, exactly. I don't think the frame of the phone is a bezel. I think that kind of has to be there.
Yeah.
I think they're both the bezel.
So just imagine your phone going all the way out to the edge of the phone.
But would you still have
right up to the frame.
Would you still
That's
have the
what I
black
thought.
edge? I thought the black edge would go away. No, would you still have the physical edge of the bezel? Like that's.
I guess that depends on the
plastic.
design.
The
But
plastic
but I would
design.
still consider it bezel-less.
Exactly.
if
I
it
would
did
too.
that. If it went up to the frame. As long
Oh
as
no, I'm
as
thinking
long
that
as
there's
the-
no this piece
Yeah.
around
I
is
mean,
gone.
that
It's,
would be. Yeah, that would be cool in its own right. Yeah, too. I don't know. Well, I guess we don't know. This is all
I wonder what
rumorville.
the
So
definition of bezel is.
We're looking that up.
I'm looking that up right now.
Just a
a
little.
bezel is a grooved ring holding the glass or plastic cover of a watch face or other instrument in position. So the bezel is
that's so interesting. I never thought of the bezel as the frame.
it's the frame.
I thought of the frame as a frame,
No, it's a bezel.
and the bezel as the black border around the actual display.
Well, that just
box.
makes this even weirder.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, rumor. So we don't know anything.
Well, but we're going to find out on September 18th.
Yeah, we're gonna find out very soon.
Just really quickly, I guess the Galaxy camera is going to ship in October, and the Note doesn't have a official ship date from reports
so
that I've
the
read.
camera in October. Note, no date.
End of 20 by
Oh, end of
Q4
2012.
Q4.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
By
By the holidays.
By
Because
the
if they don't get it
holidays,
out by the
happy
holidays,
holidays.
then they're doing it wrong.
Well, that's too late too to introduce it. At
So
the
by
end.
but sometime
Yeah.
to give people enough time to be able to actually buy these
Exactly.
devices for the
Yeah.
holidays.
Who knows? It might come out in October as well.
So, by the way, so if you do a quick Google search for bezel-less,
look
so
at that.
these are just
See?
mock-ups. So
Oh, well, they're just mock-ups.
yeah, I know, but I'm just this
See,
is the
I'm okay with
zeitgeist. This is what an artist rendering of a
okay with
bezel-less.
that.
So it looks like there's something there, and then here's the
And
other
there's
Oh,
one.
wait,
something on the top.
can you go back to that other one?
Yeah.
I
Just
really
the
like
top.
that settings icon. I'm just saying.
That's the TouchWiz icon.
No, yeah, just saying.
Yeah.
It's the guys that love the TouchWiz, not the ladies.
I don't know. Well, I mean, just getting back to this for a second, because this is kind of an interesting thing to discuss, because we haven't used a phone like this. Don't you feel if there's no bezel that you're more inclined to accidentally hit things by just holding the phone in the way that you normally hold the phone?
Why would you hold the phone differently if there's no bezel?
Well, I mean, even doing something like
think
this.
so.
You're still going to hold it like that.
Yeah, but you at least now you have a bezel to kind of like.
Well, no, you're just
No, you don't.
you're just
You're
cradling
touching.
it on the edge. It doesn't matter whether there's a
That
bezel
is-
or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, they're gonna. I mean, I imagine there's. I mean,
I don't know.
Which is
Our
great
new
is that
word,
this
bezel.
is completely speculation. We
Yeah,
have
oh, it's
no
total spec.
proof
It's fun to talk about,
whatsoever.
though.
They're gonna roll out a phone that's
We have nothing else to talk about but a bezel today, so we're just
Yeah, it's
that's all we're talking about.
nothing better than a bezel. There's our
Nothing
episode
better
title.
than a bezel, yes. Bezel this. So not to be undone, HTC a day later is going to have an event September 19th in New York. There is some talk about a possible 5-inch phablet, possibly.
I really don't like that word.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what else
Phone
to
and
say.
tablet.
Yeah, I mean,
Tablet.
the event will start at 11 a.m. Eastern. So those of us, they usually stream these kinds of things too. So I'm assuming that this is event season. So
it's totally event
except for Apple, there's tons of events that are probably going to be streamed. So we'll see. And then there was like a blurry photo.
Oh yeah, total
Of,
Bigfoot photo of it
Right. Spotted blurry pics. Could it be the
wandering
much
through the woods.
anticipated Verizon-bound phablet? I think we'd heard that HTC was going to try and compete too with the Note. So this might be
And
it.
they've got if this is it, it has the red stylings
Yeah.
of that you've
HTC,
seen.
yeah. So
lot of
we
other
will
HTC
find out in just a few weeks if that is true.
Anyone excited about a 5-inch
Phablet.
HTC phablet?
Well,
excited
it's just
about a
sort of like,
phablet.
well, the Note's already out there.
Right.
That was the hit, and now everybody's trying
And
to
now
catch up.
everybody's catching up, and I
think it was-
have one too.
Oh, yeah, we talked about this last week. LG is probably going to have
The large
their 5-inch.
phone as well.
rumor. And then another announcement.
Speaking of,
Oh no! Speaking of rumors, another announcement. So Amazon is also scheduled to be making an announcement this week on the 6th,
couple
right?
days.
Yeah, 2 days from
Announcement,
now.
drink.
Thursday, drink. And there's been much speculation and much rumor. Oh, can we drink? I didn't realize we could.
I'm just
then.
drinking by
Bad TV. So the rumors have been, it's going to be whether or not there's going to be a new Kindle Fire announced by Amazon and their event. And some rumors cropped up. Actually, CNET was reporting this source that there will be 2 new Kindle Fires and there'll be 7-inchers and there will be no 10-inch offering. And the reason being is that apparently, according to this source, whether you want to believe it or not, Amazon, in response to some emergent competitors, the Nexus, they are put their plans for a 10-inch on hold and have focused on these 2 new 7-inch models that would come out. Rumors are that they would have faster processors, possibly quad-core, as well as more increased storage space, although still not expandable, an HDMI port, front-facing camera like the Nexus 7. So we'll see. And there's some speculation of whether it's going to be the Kindle Fire 2 or how they're going to brand it or whatnot. And again, I cannot comment personally. So there we go.
That is all the comment you need.
Yep. There we go. All right. Google, finally, this has nothing to do with anything that we've talked about events-wise, but it is kind of, it's totally rumory.
It kind of fuels the fire.
Yeah.
Fuels the fire.
Don't you?
Sometimes I just say these things. It just comes out of my mouth.
You're just that good. 6 weeks until Google's Nexus 7 with 3G compatibility, potentially. Total rumor land. Does that sound viable to you guys? A well-placed insider told Monaco such a thing. Who knows on this?
That's the thing I was asking for when it first came out. I thought
I'm sure a lot of people that bought one already were hoping.
I had the Pantech Element as a review unit for a while, and I have to say it was pretty nice to be walking around with it at the gym with 3G, not having to depend on Wi-Fi. Not that I know Wi-Fi is pretty available in most places. You can tether and use your phone, but what if you don't have it? What if you just have this? And I think it's just handy if you can afford it. If you can afford the plan, that's obviously always going to be a down, a negative because you have to pay the monthly fee or whatnot. But for those people who want to just carry a bigger note than normal, maybe that will work out for you. And I like that.
For me, 3G's never been I have no interest in it. I don't want another bill. I don't want another, because then I feel bad I don't use it.
Yeah,
I just know a lot of people that do use it.
Yeah,
with their tablets,
and I've been able to make the tablet work under Wi-Fi. Who knows? We talked about this before. I could be totally wrong, and it could change my life, and I could be totally missing out. But I can always make Wi-Fi work. But
yeah, my initial reaction on this is
I don't agree.
It's probably I don't know. It feels super rumory and probably not that likely. Having said that, 2 weeks ago, you were not on. It was just Eileen and I and. Father Robert Balacer was here, but he wasn't on. No, he wasn't on.
Oh,
this was when you and I were doing the show, and he wasn't on. And in the post show, he brought over a Nexus 7 with the cover taken off and showed some of the things that were underneath, just on your Nexus 7 that aren't not activated. There's a hole for a camera, a front-facing camera. There's a total spot for it, but the camera isn't there. And there's also, Chad, you were saying an LTE.
Yeah, there's an LTE
antenna block.
Yeah, and you can tell because LTE is really finicky, and so they have an entire copper shielding on top of it, and that's iconic of an LTE antenna.
So, I mean, if that were the case, why wouldn't there be LTE connectivity? Not to mention, I
do remember this now. Absolutely, yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Not to mention 3G is kind of old. Like new devices, you're hoping that they're coming out with the next thing, and the next thing is what everybody, is considering 4G, in which it's a million different things. But anyways, so there is possibility to it. I just kind of, I don't know. Doesn't seem likely to me. Let's check out an email. Why don't we?
Let's do it.
Come over here and let's take a look in the mailbag. Harper wrote in and said, I am considering buying a tablet for my 13-year-old. I have a Nexus S phone, a Nexus 7 tablet, and an iPad, so my app collection across both platforms is large and rather heavily weighted towards games that my kids can play. I would like to set up my son with a tablet that can share my app collection but has its own associated account for things like email and messaging. I was able to do this quite easily with my daughter's iPod Touch by using the same Apple ID in the App Store, but a different email address in the Mail app. I'm not sure if it's possible with a Nexus 7 or a Kindle Fire. I don't really want my kid receiving my email or Hangout requests, but I don't relish repurchasing all the games that the kids love playing on my Nexus 7, this is totally possible.
Totally possible.
You had an app.
Well,
you don't even think you need an app.
You don't even need an app for this.
You
This
just
is
have
a
a
matter of
multiple
associating multiple accounts to your tablet.
okay.
You have one account that is your main one, and that's what you set it up as. And then you can go into settings and add any Gmail accounts, and anything that's associated with those Gmail accounts is automatically accessible. So that's the risk, I guess.
Yeah.
Is if you're associating your account with your kid's device and you don't want them to have the ability to read your email or whatever, they're going to have that ability. All they have to do is go into settings and change it.
Well, yeah, if they're smart enough to figure that out. I mean, what you can do is you can set up the
Kids
multiple
are pretty
account.
darn smart these
True,
days.
yeah. You can set. Actually, I have a funny anecdote about that. But you could set up an account and make the kids' account the default one, switch over to your account, install the apps, and then remove your account, or you can just leave your account dormant.
Well, but that doesn't always work because they do verification to check.
True,
so that wouldn't actually.
It is doable.
work.
It'll take some challenges though.
I thought there was something in Jelly Bean that allowed you to switch accounts.
No, they're talking about rolling out user switching.
That's okay.
Yeah,
then we
which
heard
isn't
that
out
at
yet.
I/O.
It's coming. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I had.
Yeah,
we're looking for
that
like window.
came after I/O. We didn't hear about it.
Windows
Like
Live.
that's been in the last couple of weeks that they're they're discovering code inside that points
It's
to
coming.
it being part of the future.
So that could be something that is a optimistic reason why to go that direction, because eventually they'll have Microsoft Windows-esque user logins where you can log in, the kids can log in, and then they can't get to your information and that sort of thing.
Right. I think what you're thinking of is the profile switching
Yes,
app,
profile
right, exactly.
which was called Switch Me. But that's a little different from this, because I think what he wants is access to multiple accounts, or like the apps from one account and the emails from another, which I guess you could do it with a different profile, but that wouldn't be necessary.
So funny anecdote. So I got an email the other day from my sister, who's older than me, and the subject line was, "You're invited to my princess party." And I open it up, and it's a Disney princess's picture, and it says, "You're invited to my princess party," and that was it. And so I wrote back to her, and I just said, "Okay, when?" And she writes back, and writes back, "LOL, I'm at work. I don't know." And turns out my 6-year-old niece had gotten her hands on her iPad and was playing with some Disney app, and then it said, "Send this invite to someone." And so then we're like, all right, well, how did she know to get it to me? Because she and I are close. I'm like, she's 6 years old. How does she know Ron at my email address? And so my sister finally came home and I asked her, "Were you playing with the iPad?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Did you send a mail?" And she's like, "I tried to send an invite to Rapunzel." And she typed in R, and it came up autofill. So she was trying. So a nice little example of when kids get into email and that sort of thing. So I was very disappointed. So now when I go back to New York, she has to have a princess party and invite me. So.
You never know when you're going to be invited to a princess party. Consider yourself lucky, Ron.
Princess party sounds pretty bitchin'. I would totally go to that. So, yeah.
There are a ton of unicorns at a princess party. It is off the
So, yep.
All right, let's jump into apps.
That's a sip.
I'm gonna do it on camera.
There you go. All right,
Okay,
you're getting close
so
to the end there.
The first app we'll talk about, NFL. You guys like football?
Your eyes are watering.
Nope.
I know.
Yes, do love football.
How about you, Ron?
No, I can't wait for April or March or May or whatever, February, whenever
well,
it goes
you
away
can just
again.
zone out while I talk a little bit about the NFL Game Rewind is going to come to Android and lets subscribers watch full replays of 2012 NFL games on your tablet.
So it's just replays? It's not streaming the games like baseball?
Yeah, it's after the fact.
it's just
NFL
like-
is so
NFL,
restrictive.
It's not the same as the MLB app, but
Because I guess there's less games and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's once a week kind of thing. Again, no live shows, but available via demand. You'll get special features like coaches' films and a feature that allows sports fan to see all 22 players positioned on the field simultaneously. Is this something you would get as a football fan?
No.
Well, you also have to have like a subscription to NFL Game Rewind.
I mean, we pay for the ticket on DirecTV, and that's a pretty penny. I mean, NFL is just so, man, they just get so much money out of you if you're a fan of football, and the ticket's all I'm going to spend on NFL every year, unless I go to a game, you know. Then I'll pay for that. I mean, this is great and everything, but give us something similar to At Bat.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's completely open, and encourage us to be, super fans of your sport.
Well,
it's
here's
just
the
ridiculous
worst
how much
part
they
about
nickel
it.
and dime you.
it gets even worse. Apparently, the service really isn't cheap. You can't just download the app and have a subscription to NFL Game Rewind. You could choose to follow your team for $35 or all the teams in the season for $40. And then the packages are still crippled. You don't get those playoff games and Super Bowl, and only some coaches' films play. This does not sound like a good deal, you guys. Yeah. And then for $70, you get access to all of the games. So you already have a paid subscription, and then you have to pay more on top of that.
Yep.
You're right. NFL does get you, don't they?
Oh, yeah. They get you.
Yeah,
and I think probably a large part of this is these legacy contracts with like DirecTV and with all these other things where like they might, I can't believe I'm defending NFL, but like they might not, this might be the best they can do. In terms of what they can do in terms of access and blackout and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They've been doing this for a long time now.
Yeah.
I would hope at some point if they wanted to do better than this, they would.
I really hate when you have scenarios like this where like a league and stuff like that is just not good to their fans. Like I mean that's one of the reasons why I don't like football. It's just not. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I'll watch live.
Yeah, well, also in interesting apps news, anyone who knows me
in the U.S.
In the U.S. at least, yeah, this is very U.S. specific. But anyone who knows me knows that I'm actually pretty rampantly anti-politics. You'll rarely hear me talk about politics and voting and things like that. But I will say that one of the things that I've thoroughly enjoyed here in the U.S. in the past 4 years with Obama's presidency is this recommitment to technology and this kind of you're seeing improvements across the board from the White House website, making it mobile friendly, that sort of thing. And then honestly, it just got better because the White House announced that they not only released the new mobile web app after seeing 15% of their total traffic to the White House website coming from mobile phones, and they said, we should probably cater to this audience. So they've released a new web app, a new Android app, and a new iOS app. And what's even better, all the apps are available. They're open source and on GitHub now.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Talk about not only giving us the applications to the information and stuff that we need and want from our government, but then open sourcing it and opening it up to everybody. That's just cool. So bravo to the White House and the current administration for that. So
very cool to keep that open. You wouldn't expect that, or I wouldn't expect that. You know, that's pretty cool. I haven't downloaded the app though.
Yeah, that's
so
I haven't either. I don't. No interest.
But do that.
No
but hey, you might.
We're just reporting. We're reporting what's going on.
Exactly. So I don't put any.
Well, this summer, as Amazon alluded to at the end of June, has officially arrived. That is because we are finally seeing the availability of the Amazon Appstore in international markets, something that Amazon promised back in June. UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain all now have access to the Amazon Appstore. I wonder why they'd broaden availability of the App Store. Don't they have an event coming up or something? And isn't it strange how they're totally sold out of Kindle Fires and they don't sell those anymore? Yeah, I think it's pretty certain that we're going to see some Kindle Fires.
The writing's on the wall. Yeah.
The writing is totally on the wall in big Amazon blocky letters. So there you go. Everybody has access to the free app of the day, and you can check it out.
And I still have not looked at it a single day since the last week's show.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I totally forgot.
I've even had a couple of mornings where I've because mornings like when I first open up my phone and my daughter's watching a little block of cartoons, so I sit on the couch and I'm like, all right, Android news, technology news, through, and I think about it. I actually think about it. Like, do I check? No, whatever.
You see, I really think that's the thing is that like my phone is absolutely not in my morning routine whatsoever.
Oh,
like it's literally like I have a separate alarm clock. It's sitting on the charger. I get up, I take my Nexus 7, I go to the gym, I come back home, I shower, sit down for work, and then I take my phone and put it right next to my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's all. I mean, I know there are people who their alarm goes off and they sit there in bed like this for 30 minutes.
Yeah, totally.
And well, I mean, I'm not one of those people, so maybe that's something. So maybe,
yes, I'm sorry. Who was that in the chat room? Strengths, no Australia. Sorry about that. Hopefully soon.
Maybe soon.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to email. Hey, AAA crew, I camp a lot, and when I do, I take my Nexus 7. However, I want to be able to save my location, like a flag or a star or waypoint or something. I know the GPS devices usually let you do this, but I want to be able to do this on the Nexus 7. Do you have any map applications that will do this? Thanks. Love the show. Jack.
When I first read this, I thought he was making fun of the commercial. Because I go camping a lot. I want to bring my Nexus 7. It's like, well, Jack, what you're going to need to do is camp in your backyard. That's number one, right? And so,
make it really easy for you.
Well, there's a great app. It's called Google Maps, and
I've heard of this app.
You heard of that?
Oh, you did it! Oh my God!
No, I'm just saying, like, I have my Nexus 7 offline right now, and I just checked here. I have starred 2 places, TWiT LLC, and there you go. Now you could see the map here and saved.
The newer offline maps functionality.
Right. This is a very new
This
feature.
is very, very new. Yeah. And then there's another place I've saved Hotel Wailea here as well. Now, I don't have it on this Nexus 7, but you can probably do the same here, which is offline maps. And I was just in Vancouver recently, and as we were about to hit the border, I wanted to save the map because I wasn't going to have data as we were crossing the border from the U.S. to Canada. So what I did was I saved a location while I was still connected, and then made it offline. And so now I have this map of Vancouver, which I was able to kind of pinch and zoom and still see my GPS while I was offline. I turned off, I went to airplane mode. I wanted to make sure I didn't have my data on, and that worked as well. So several options with your lovely Google Maps app, which I think is great. And I used it. I was like, okay, we were about to cross the border. I was like, I hope this offline thing works. It was the first time that I'd ever used it. And yes, it does.
That's very cool. So there you go.
Yeah, and actually, a guy from Trinidad in the chat room also points out, and I hadn't heard of this app before, Compass by the folks at Catch does something similar to this where you can drop a pinpoint and say, this is where I'm at right now. And you can look at your history and see where you've been. I don't know if it's necessarily the type of app where you can store maps offline, but you can drop your location.
What was that location?
Was
it Glimpse or was it?
Glimpse, allows you to
I don't know
send,
if it's offline, though, but you can.
Yeah, I don't know about that one being offline.
Yeah.
That's more like saying, here, sending a message to somebody and saying, this is me for the next 30 minutes I'm traveling from point A to point B.
As opposed to dropping a permanent beacon.
Right.
I do like the offline maps better than just the starred. As I'm noticing, when you have the offline maps, you can really kind of pinch and zoom and go in there.
Yeah,
the
you can set a certain distance around it, circumference. Up to a certain point, though. I did hit a point where it wouldn't let me go beyond, like, I think it was like 27 megs or something. There's like a file size limit. So if you're in a really data heavy area, like a lot of location points and stuff, that means a smaller kind of distance that you can store offline.
The mapping stuff, it just blows my mind. It's crazy. 15 years ago, I was roadieing and I carried an atlas with me.
Oh, I know. Isn't it crazy what you used to do and how easy it is now?
I just threw out the atlas, the paper atlas, street map or something. The book, the really thick book. I saw it on the back of my car in the pocket of my seat, and I thought, why do I have this? I've never used it. It's tattered, and so I finally tossed it.
The day I left for tour when I was 18 years old, and my dad, my dad just gave me this paper atlas. He's like, you'll need it. And it folded over and had the plastic thing and the Velcro. And and sure enough, that thing got a ton of use. That was because you're in Iowa and you don't know where the nearest days in is. And it's crazy. So anyway.
Times have changed.
Yes,
they have. They've gotten a lot easier. They've gotten a lot more difficult.
Feels like just yesterday. It feels like time's going by faster now.
Strange how that works.
Inside joke. Hey, you know what? It's time for me to drink. It's time for the Android Arena.
2 enter, 1 lives. Android Arena.
Still dropping there. Do it.
We're waiting for the drip to drop on my laptop. No, look, there's a nice little.
It's just the bezel.
Good job.
The
bezel caught.
See, you don't want to get rid of it entirely.
Oh no, it just dripped.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, right on your trackpad too. That's going to come in handy in a few minutes.
Love it.
Well, while
Nothing
you wait for that to dry,
your laptop smell like tequila.
That's what were you doing?
That was going to be like good show.
That was a great show, honey. Great.
What are we having for dinner tonight? Meatballs. Well, last week's Android Arena was great, and I'm actually pretty happy to see that Uniqlo Wake Up wins with 43%.
Are you bummed? Oh my god!
Was that?
Are you bummed?
No, I thought it was.
Because the way you delivered it was, I'm really happy.
No. I thought the segment was awesome.
It was unlikely, that's for sure.
It was certainly not an obvious gimme pick by any stretch of the imagination. But
I'm as shocked as all of you. Yeah.
People loved it. 43%.
I'll take the win.
ROM Toolbox Pro.
Oh, did it make the TWiT highlights?
Second.
I gotta watch those TWiT highlights.
It was on the TWiT.
It did?
I put that.
You
version of it. Well, you should check it out to find out. Well, no, it was just a part where we were all sleeping.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, good. Right on.
Stuff.
Hey.
Yeah, it was good. It was highlight worthy.
Hey, thanks, Bruce, in the chat room.
ROM Toolbox Pro with 36% got second place. Monsters Ate My Condo, third place with 17%. And fourth place, Traffic Panic London with 4%.
Yeah, it was a good arena. It was fun.
Absolutely. So this week, we follow it up with 3 life-changing apps that will affirm your belief in life-changing apps. There we go. Eileen, you're up.
Life-changing.
Okay, maybe I oversold it.
Yeah, I have an app, and it is it works. Yeah,
This could be easier than I thought, Ron.
Wow, way to put the hard sell on it. Wow, I just like I'm on the edge of my seat.
We picked a good day to roll out the big guns.
Yeah.
What kind of life changes are you
I
proposing?
almost thought about like, oh, Chad, you want to sub for me in the arena this week?
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
boy.
a little,
75 episodes.
I was a little lacking. First of all,
I have an app that I could pull out of nowhere.
See,
Oh, of course,
yeah,
Chad's
of course
prepared.
He does now. I actually had to use now in the App Store. You have recommended for you, which is new now, and there's a recommended for you section here. Which, oddly enough, I have no idea why it wants to recommend apps that I've already installed, like Chrome. I don't
that
get
are already installed by default on
Yes.
a Nexus 7.
That doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't get
makes
that.
a lot of
Okay,
sense.
so I did come on here and I thought, oh right, it reminded me of some stuff that I have. This is actually okay. I don't know that it really will help me win this week, but it reminded me that I do have an app, and as you all know, I have been searching for the best Twitter app. Slice is not it. I was very excited by Slice that week. It is not it. There's too many things that have happened with Slice. I got really excited by it because I liked a lot of the options and the features, and then it became too many taps to get to what I needed. So
your search for a Twitter app is becoming very quixotic. It's very. I mean, like Twitter apps are like your windmills, and like
really, I mean, there needs to be one that
makes me and
really
Jason
moves me.
your poncho, Sancho, or whatever it is.
So, I have tried many, and I have been given so many great recommendations by our listeners and our viewers, and I'm going to show one today, which I think is good. It's called Tweedle, and it's free in the App Store. It's very clean. It looks very nice on the Nexus 7, which I'm showing it off. It's a very clean interface. Here you can have the option to have some of the pictures show inline in the actual app. Or when you actually launch the photo. I don't have that option here yet set. But then you swipe to the left and you see your mentions. You swipe to the left again, you see your message, your DMs. And it's a very simple and clean app. And when I go to my settings, you can change lots of different things. You can configure your theme. You can, let's see here. Let's choose dark. So there's my theme is changed to dark. If you're looking for something really clean and simple, this might be for you. It does RT retweeting, which I really like. You can actually change all your base colors here if you know the actual color. What do you call this? The color code. You should know?
The hex code.
Hex code.
Yeah.
If you know the hex code for whatever color, you could do it that way, or you could just go ahead and pick your color by the wheel here. Again, I've been looking and searching for a Twitter app that moves me and
Inspires you to be
me.
a
Here's
better
the
Android
enable inline images. You can do that. I like that some of this stuff. Yeah. See, but then you see this every once in a while. It's like, ooh, it takes a while. Oh, I know why. It's because I'm not on Wi-Fi. It takes a while sometimes, or if you're out of a data location, it takes a while to show the actual inline photo. You can just pull to update.
The inline thing is a problem, not so much on a tablet, but I use the Mac OS TweetDeck app, and they have inline photo and video and stuff like that, and it's like a danger. It's like if I accidentally press a YouTube link, it locks my whole system up for like a minute while it's trying to load the video. So that's a rough one.
So essentially, that's pretty it. You could search your tweets. Very simple. You could see your profile. Oh, I'm not on Wi-Fi. I turned it off for the offline maps demo, and now it's taking forever to get back to Wi-Fi. But I'm glad I'm able to show you this. You can customize it anytime you want, and it's very, very simple. And if that's what you need, maybe this is for you. So that's Tweedle for Android, and it's free, I believe.
Free.
In the Android marketplace.
Tweedle with a D.
Tweedledee. And
Tweedle
look at that pretty bird that they have up there as well. So as its icon.
Probably capped at 100,000 users.
Yeah. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Been waiting for Play the Parts is saying, I wonder if Carbon for Android will ever be released. I've been waiting for that. People have told me about Carbon for Android and said, just wait for that. That's going to change your Twitter life.
I've heard the same. We would
Still
like
waiting.
to see something, yeah.
In the meantime, maybe Tweedle. Maybe you just like the official Twitter client. I don't know. I'm just giving you some options there.
Official Twitter client always has never done me wrong, done me bad. So.
I always go back to it to check it out and see how it's doing.
Yeah?
But then I go back to whatever I happen to be using at that point. Still with Plume. Been with Plume for a while. Although we had a little fight. Plume and I had a little fight about a month ago.
I remember.
And I stormed out of the room angrily. But I came back after the end of the weekend, and I've been with it ever since.
There you go.
So here we go. I finally have Wi-Fi. So
and now I want bread.
Now you want bread. So here's the inline. Well,
that does look like good bread.
You'll see like half of it in the timeline, but then when you click on it, then the actual photo appears. So you don't have to click away. See, here you go. Look at there's that.
That reminds me, and this has nothing to do with your app or Twitter apps, but like the ice cream sandwich, when you get a picture texted to you, like when you pull down notifications, it shows a little bit of the picture. Like I just like the graphical stuff. And they're starting to come up in apps like that. It's using graphics much better. So I'm impressed. I like that actually. I actually did like that. I might use that app now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Oh, give it a shot. It's free, so you can't. If you don't like it, you just
can't go wrong.
Uninstall
Cancel
later.
anytime.
Cancel anytime with your order. Download Tweedle for Android or Tweedle for Twitter.
Why don't you just tell me the name of the app you want?
Press 1.
From Handler Exploit. Installed 3,457 times.
Uh-oh, someone's calling Eileen.
Oh, no.
I'll take over. All right, so mine is actually a widget, not an app. I think it's still classified. It still works, yeah.
Yeah, widget
But this one just kind of tugged at my nerd geek sentimentality or whatever that. Never mind. Stop listening to me. It's called Life Meter. And I'm just going to not talk and I'm just going to show you. So it's a widget that basically represents your battery in different ways.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, so Life Meter. So I'll go ahead and hold that, drag it down here, and I'm putting it onto my home screen. Apparently I need to flip in order to do this. All right, so up at the top I have the different ways that I can customize my light meter. So
does it look like Zelda?
Go into Heart, and I've got all these different options for how to create a battery widget on how my battery depletes. Do I want this has a very kind of like NES kind of quality to it. I don't think any of these are identical rips of things like Castlevania and Metroid and everything, but they look pretty darn close.
Can I tell you, there is an entire cottage industry of capitalizing on our nostalgia of 8-bit video games. And I'm pissed I didn't think of it. It's genius. It's because I'm like, ooh, I want that. It's like pixelated icons. Sign me up.
Yeah, totally. Zelda fans will find plenty in here. So I'll just kind of show you. You basically customize these. They have different types of hearts that you could select. So I'll just go ahead and do, I don't know, this one. And then, I could add a little life at the top of it. So it kind of makes it a little bit more video game-ish. I could adjust the number of columns if I wanted it to be a really fine level indicator of how much battery I have left. I could add more rows and more columns. I'll make it a little bit more simple here. We'll do something like that. That looks good. Usually they end up being a double bar, something like that. You can kind of change the position, the sizing of it, as well as the alignment if you want to have it hug the top. I mean, right now this thing's so big that it's not moving around, but you can. And what this allows you to do, I kind of scratched my head at first to wonder why you would want to place it not dead center in your widget space. But what it allows you to do, if you go to the Play Store and look at some of their examples, you'll see that what people do is they use wallpapers.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then they'll put the widget in there around the wallpapers, and that's why playing with that alignment, you can kind of tweak it to get it to fit the right spot.
I'm very impressed by this.
Oh, good. Yay. You can you can go in here and kind of preview what it'll look like. If I can grab that, what it'll look like, what the animation basically looks like between full and empty bars, essentially, just to give you an idea.
Oh my!
How often do you want your widget to update? If you have multiple widgets, you can set them at different intervals. And then finally, you can have it, pull up your battery stats if you click it, or launch an app, or do absolutely nothing, which is what I have here if you click the widget. So I'm going to go back over here and just increase it to full size because I like that. Install the widget, and boom. There it is. I can place that, obviously. I mean, it's a widget, so you can place it anywhere you want and kind of get the whole thing down. Here's just a number of them that I created prior to the start. You can see this one down here. That's like that was like, how much can I get crammed in there? Totally probably unusable to a certain degree. But yeah, just a whole lot of interesting, cool-looking retro-style battery meters. That look like old gaming.
I gotta be honest, it's $1.99, right?
Yeah, so there is a free version that gives you access to a few of those options. I think you have access to the heart, obviously, because that's how you determine what your battery level is at. And one other option, I wish I could tell you what it was, but I paid for it, which gives you all the options, essentially. But it's $1.99 or the free version, which gives you limited functionality.
I literally just tweeted at two of my friends who are like big video game fans. I was like, dude, install this.
Awesome.
Very, very, very cool.
Like to hear that. So it's Life Meter, all one word, and check it out.
Awesome.
Free and $1.99.
Cool. So I went a different direction. I actually didn't know we were changing lives, but I think this app might change lives. I'm hooked on tablet apps. I'm hooked on tablets. I love the Nexus 7, and I'm constantly looking for ways I can do more with my Nexus 7. And I don't even know how, but I stumbled across not only a IM client for a tablet, but it's called LilyPad HD, and this utilizes the concept of floating windows. So you can actually. I hate IM, just so everyone knows. Like I loathe it. And one of the things that bugs me about using IM on the tablet, and I never use it, is because I hate having to switch between the chat and whatever I'm doing on the tablet, and basically that task switching. So what LilyPad HD allows you to do is it allows you to have a chat window that is floating, that exists on top of your app, so it doesn't while it interrupts you, it doesn't get in the way and make it hard to use. So real simple. I've already preset it up. And I can show you guys how it all works here. You just launch the app by typing in LilyPad. And so when you launch it, it will log in, and it will populate your, assuming I have Wi-Fi, yeah, I do. Once it finds the internet connection, there we go. So now it has logged me in chat, and I got my buddy list right here. This is the same buddy list that I've got in my Gmail through Gtalk, through my Adium client. It just basically easy setup. You put in your username and password, and it gets the whole list. You can see here I can move this list like a window anywhere I want. I can put it on any screen I want. Actually, I'm over at the edge, so let's go over here. Hypothetically, I could do it on any screen I want. I did that earlier. Maybe not. All right, but anyway, so you can move it around. And then you can change your status. You can set it, that same all client that you can ever, same IM client, just like on the computer. So if you want to chat with someone, I'm going to chat here with my good friend Eileen, and I'm going to say hi. And now, if you're watching at home or if you're here in the studio, you see that she's on her laptop chatting with me.
Oh my gosh!
And she's ready. She's going to write back to me. Let's see it coming through.
It's amazing.
And she just wrote back to me, and she said, "No way."
I meant no way.
No way.
No,
So, and again, I can move this around, And unfortunately, LilyPad HD has stopped because I was moving it as you wrote.
That's a bummer.
Gosh.
Okay, well, at least you know that's a thing. But
apparently, that's a thing. So don't do that. But anyway, so I'll move it around. I can.
I'm trying.
She's going to. So you can move it around. What's neat is that you can minimize it, so you can just send it away, so it totally doesn't get in the way at all. You get a little notification up here, so I can pull up either the buddy list or the chat window. So I'll pull up the chat window. You can resize it, which is cool. If I want to make the whole thing, if I want to make it super small, it'll automatically move up to the to allow you to have the keyboard, and I can send the keyboard down. So it's just neat in terms of this floating window kind of functionality. Within the settings, the one thing that I thought was interesting. So here's where you can manage your various accounts. When you want to add another account, it is limited to Google Talk, Facebook, and MSN, which I thought was interesting. I'm one of those old legacy people who still has an AOL IM account. So when I logged in, I was like, where's AOL? Like, why can't I use that? But then I quickly realized that a lot of my friends are on G-Talk, so whatever. Maybe life goes on. Maybe I should get over it. So it's really kind of neat. You can, if you've gotten rid of the buddy list itself, let me get rid of it here. You can just get it back by tapping the upper left-hand corner, and it comes back. You can double tap to get rid of it. I mean, it just seemed very functional. So yeah. So that is LilyPad HD. If you were to install it, it comes. It's free for a couple of days, and then you can use an in-app purchase to purchase the full app for $2.99. So it's a neat little tablet optimized IM client that exists on top of your apps. Doesn't get in the way. So.
We love the floaters.
Yeah, the floating apps seem to do well.
Oh, and there we go. Sure. Chad, can you take it back to me? So as opposed to dragging it onto other screens, I realized because it's a floater, all I need to do is just swipe, and it will still exist on top. So there you go.
Excellent.
Yep.
Sweet.
Lovely.
There you go. So LilyPad HD, free and $2.99 upgradable. So there you go.
There you go. All right.
Lovely LilyPad you have.
This week we have Tweedle for Android, Life Meter, and LilyPad HD. You can vote for your favorite app this week by going to bit.ly/75AAA poll, bit.ly/75AAA poll, and let us know which app you think is the best app/widget this week. Let's see what early returns are saying here.
I got a feeling Life Meter might have the legs.
Everybody loves the retro.
Yeah.
Seeing some complaints that it's just a battery meter.
It's just a widget, I think, is the best.
What complaints?
Yeah, I saw one in there. Well, they're actually kind of equally strong right now. Wow. Yeah, this is going to be a close one.
It's a nice and clean app, so I don't know, and it's free.
All right. Well, it's a 3-app race at this point, and they're all doing pretty strongly. That is kind of it for this week, I think. Next week, we have Joe Braidwood, CEO of Joe Braidwood of SwiftKey.
He is from London, and he's in town, so he's going to be here as a part of the show.
Yeah, and that's more, more just kind of joining for the show as an Android fan to talk about Android stuff. Sounds good to me. Yes.
I'm going to use my plug time to mention something in my app I didn't mention that the chat room was just asking about.
Are we really we're done?
In the settings, going back to LilyPad, in the settings, I totally forgot to mention it. There's a bunch of options, and you can change the opacity. So you can make it transparent or semi-transparent or whatnot. So if you wanted to, so you can swipe it, you can see how it looks, somewhat transparent. There you go. Additionally, you can change the font size, you can change the buddy list font size, and you can also change the notifications, whether you want to use a sound or vibrate or the LED, or also if you want to auto start the app on booting. So
sweet.
There you go. So sorry, I forgot that little bit.
No, that's okay. You just ate up all of your promotion time, so you don't get anything.
Aboutme.ron.
I'm just kidding. Go.
No, really. You can go to about.me/RonXO where you can find links to my Google+, my Twitter, my Facebook, all that fun stuff, and the places where I work during the day at Graphically and iFanboy. And yeah, it sums it up.
All right.
I'm not that interesting.
And how about you, Eileen?
You interesting?
She's very interesting.
I'm interested with tequila. Hey, I finished this per your wish. You can find me at about.me.
We're making it ethnic. Okay.
Yeah. So about.me/Eileen Rose or at Eileen TV on Twitter.
All right. I'm about.me/Jason Howell or at Jason Howell on Twitter as well. That's it for this week. Boom. You've reached the end of this episode. A success. Voicemail. You can leave us a voicemail at 347-SHOW-AAA. You can always send us an email or attach a link to a video to your email at aaa@twit.tv. You can find our show on Twitter. We are at Android Show. You can find show notes of all of our episodes, twit.tv/AAA, including this one at the moment that it's posted. We also host past episodes on the site, as well as episodes on iTunes, YouTube. You can find them all over the place. And finally, you can catch us live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific. There we go, at live.twit.tv.
I'm in your shot.
Oh, it's
so
okay.
I was like, I gotta
you can get in my
I
shot.
realized.
You should have used the LOL
I'm in
cat
your
language.
shot.
We'll see you.
In your shot.
I'm in your
See you next week, guys. Bye.